Mr. Pittman, could you explain the purpose of this interview today?
Yeah, well, I suppose it's about three things really. It's about correcting some wrongs put out by the state media. How many times have we had to say that? It's about highlighting for your viewers and the wider public has shown up and my right to privacy, my human right, guaranteed human right to privacy, Article 8, has been abused in this circumstance. And it's about really showing yet again how anyone who stands up to the system and dares challenge what's going on, what's wrong here in this island, does get smeared by the island, how they're abused by the court system. A court system that's meant to be there to protect us all, but isn't, I'm afraid.
So this all stems from the publication of yours and Mrs. Pittman's claim of debts in the local state media concerning your ongoing court battle with Borden's estate agents and the JEP of your libel defamation case against them.
Yep.
Can you explain a little bit what's gone on there?
Well, obviously what makes this quite disturbing is we've got to remind ourselves that this is a live case.
Because you're appealing the...
We are appealing. Obviously, we've been through the process here. The Privy Council declined to look into the matter, claiming they did not have jurisdiction.
Channel TV, ITV, said that basically your case was thrown out by the Privy Council.
Well, again, I mean, you know, you've hit the nail on the head there. The Privy Council have never thrown out a case because what they did was claim that they did not have jurisdiction to investigate the case because the Jersey Appeal Court had not given us the permission to go ahead. They've never thrown out the case. You know, it's a classic example, isn't it, of how the state media deliberately mislead their listeners.
Well, that was on ITV channel television, who we know aren't exactly entirely accurate, as they like to call it.
Indeed.
So this is all about the defamation case, and you're basically the Viscount took the unprecedented decision, by the sounds of it, to publish to all and sundry your debts.
Yep. Claim debts. Well, what this is really about here is the fact that this is unprecedented. This has never been done before in Jersey. They've decided, the Viscounts decided, that the media can be made fully aware, and it seems publish, the details of our ongoing case. Now, what deeply disturbed my wife and I, and indeed upset us greatly, as I think your viewers will understand, is the fact that we were given no explanation for why we were being singled out in this way, discriminated against.
Bearing in mind you're members of the public.
Well, that's right. We are members of the public, ordinary members of the public. I'm not sitting here as a state's deputy. And what I find so perplexing and so disturbing here is I asked the Viscount in person, face to face, man to man, 7 times why this was being done. He refused.
Why he was giving this information to the media?
Yeah, he refused to tell me. Indeed, it was only the next day that we finally got a letter falsely claiming that I'd not given him the opportunity. I asked 7 times, as you would, because I knew this had never been done before. And indeed, as I think Deputy Nicola Cornu was on TV saying, this is unprecedented. He could not remember a case, certainly in 30 years, he said, that this has happened. So you have to, your viewers have to be asking the question as well, why was this done?
Well, the Viscount, or the channel television claimed the Viscount, said that it was in the public interest. Now, this is a big, what is, do you know, what does in the public interest mean? Because a lot of possible wrongdoing and black dark secrets have been veiled over by this not in the public interest.
Yep.
What is the public interest? Why could they publish your private information in the public interest. What does the public interest mean?
Well, I would very much like to know, because as your viewers will be well aware, I'm one of those who fought and fought very hard to get the forthcoming committee of inquiry into the child abuse scandal made public. And how many times have we heard people were not prosecuted because it wasn't in the public interest? What is in the public interest about singling out Shona and my affairs? This is a live case, remember. It's not finished.
So hopefully, you don't know what the public in the public interest means. I don't know what in the public interest means. Channel television, ITV channel television didn't explain, or seemingly didn't ask. I don't know what in the public. You didn't ask the Viscount what in the public interest is. Will you be contacting the Viscount to ask him so the viewers can find out what this particular sentence means?
I will. Shona and myself are in the process of putting a letter together, because, you know, as I say, it is deeply disturbing. I mean, not only was we refused to know why this unprecedented action was taking place, I had a situation where I have a public official jabbing his fingers into my chest, telling me what's going to happen, because he's decided it's going to happen. That is not acceptable, I'm afraid. I'm not. Whatever we talk about the public interest, you really cannot, I believe, wholeheartedly try to argue that it's because I'm a public figure, because I'm not. Shona and myself are not in the States anymore. I'm an ordinary member of the public. It's quite clear to me, if I can say, that this is just an extension of the abuse that happens, the smearing that happens to anyone who stands up and questions what's going on this island. You only have to look at Mr. Lenny Harper, Crown Power, former Senator Sivray. This is what happens to people. I think Deputy Lecornu used the term witch hunt, and I have to say I fully concur with that view.
You believe this is a witch hunt against you and Mrs. Pittman?
It is a witch hunt. I mean, and what's deeply disturbing, I think, is that it's not just that this process has been put in place, this unprecedented process by the Viscount. It's the fact that you immediately have the media portraying it falsely, saying that I've tried to block.
Well, that comes on to my next one. Of course, the BBC State Radio run the story and told its listener that you and your wife actually attempted to block the media reporting of this. So is that true? You tried to block the media reporting of this?
This isn't true. I would love them to tell me, and indeed I've asked them, where did they get this information from? Because apparently the Viscount has refused to comment, yet they have put out this story that this happened. Do you see that any application was made to the court to try and suppress what the media were going to put out? What troubled me and my wife is the fact that this is happening without any explanation, without any precedent. That's what, and to be fair, I think your viewers may be well aware, can we rely on the BBC? That story, I'm told by Claire Peters, who put out the fabricated story, was actually allegedly written by one John Gripton.
The managing editor of the
BBC.
So?
Mr. John Gripton, who your viewers may well be aware, was quite happy to promote that he found a hate site being run against my wife highly amusing. Can I expect a fair hearing? Can Shona and I expect a fair hearing from someone like that who thinks sites threatening women are amusing?
So you think the BBC, from Mr. Gripton, has knowingly put out a false story here?
Well, they certainly didn't speak to me. Indeed.
They did say they contacted you.
That's completely untrue. I had never spoken to the BBC when that story went out. Indeed, when I heard that, I actually contacted them. I said, you haven't spoken to me.
This is after it was aired, saying that they had contacted you.
And I hadn't responded. They claimed, well, how could I respond if I'd never been contacted? It transpired that they had phoned old phone numbers, including my old deputy phone number, my office number, which it does not exist anymore, and then they spin a story to their listener that they've contacted me.
That's the BBC again. So we're pleased to have righted that wrong and put this correct.
Well, that's right, and I should mention here that's one of the reasons I'm doing this interview, because Citizens Media in Jersey are the only reliable media. They're the only media that cannot be accused of just making things up. Everything Citizens Media does that I've ever seen is well researched and it's factual.